Welcome back. I'm Jennifer Gradigo with Blueberry Realtors, 5-star real estate leaders. And with me today, I have my neighbor, Dan Waters. Dan, tell us a little bit about your company and what you do.
Well, first of all, thanks for having me. It's really nice to see you
Absolutely.
again. Our company is BioSafe Environment. We are a full-service mold remediation company. And when I say full service, what I mean is the eradication, the removal, the disinfection, the removal of stains, but then the remedy portion.
Okay.
We don't always finish that work because some is a little bit beyond our scope,
Okay.
but we emphasize the remedy. When I say remedy, mold remediation, the base word is remedy.
Right.
If it's not fixed, then are we really doing the full job?
Right.
That's what I mean by full service.
Excellent. Well, and it's interesting. I thought about your name as I said it, Dan Waters, and it's kind of fitting for what you do.
Absolutely.
So, how long have you been in business?
We've been in business doing mold remediation for 8 years.
Okay. And why did you start this business?
I was in another industry for 28 years.
Okay.
And after that, we thought, let's try something different. We didn't start here, we ended here.
Okay.
Done a lot of different things since then.
Oh.
Tried personal training,
Oh.
CrossFit. I almost opened a CrossFit
Nice.
box
Nice.
or gym. And we did other jobs that we tried. National trainer for an education company.
Excellent.
We fell into this by getting a phone call from my wife's relatives who live in Montana, her
Okay.
uncle. He said, Dan, Rich and Red, his relatives, are starting a business, and I think it's right up your alley. And so we went out to see them.
Fantastic.
It sounded great. We joined them, and it was a different business then. It was for disinfection of bacteria and
okay.
viruses.
Okay.
We tried that for a while, and it was really hard to break into that market. And most people don't want to do prophylactic spraying.
Right.
You have a nice clean
Right.
environment.
I know.
I come in and spray it to clean it when you don't need it.
Right.
However, with COVID, we did do some disinfection. We traveled to
very true.
Detroit to do one job,
Okay.
big job there. But in general, we don't do that unless it's something that someone really needs.
Right.
We got into mold remediation because we saw a need, and it's been very successful.
Fantastic. Well, we live on the water. What is something, so you hear mold and people kind of freak out. And I've been told by inspectors, it depends on the mold. You don't necessarily have to freak out. What are sort of those things that we need to worry about when it comes to especially buying a house and what we need to think about with mold?
Well, first, you want to talk specifically about the molds themselves and
Right.
safety in that?
Yes.
Okay. So everyone has heard toxic black mold.
Yes, yes.
And when you think of toxic black mold, you think, that one's the bad one.
Right.
Unfortunately, that article that was written, but no one ever said toxic white mold or toxic off-colored white mold.
Right.
They said that's that one article.
Yep.
The problem is it's not the only one that produces mycotoxins. Mycotoxins are the mold's defense mechanism.
Okay.
So when they die, they let it off. When they're disturbed, they let it off. When you try to kill them, they let those mycotoxins off.
Oh, interesting.
And with that, anyone who is otherwise healthy, we never notice the difference.
Okay.
Long-term effects could be bad,
Right.
but we don't really know.
Okay.
But there are 5 categories of people that it's bad for.
Okay.
Well, first I'll state that mold growing inside is never a good
No.
thing for anyone
No.
or the property.
Right.
But mold growth is bad when someone is in the environment if they are very young,
Okay.
very old, immunocompromised
Right.
in any way, have any one of the lung diseases, or they're specifically allergic to.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I've had some family members allergic, and it's never good.
And the tough part about it is that if someone actually has mycotoxicity,
Mhm.
that infection, it's not an easy process. You don't go and get an antibiotic
Right.
or
Right. Right.
anything else. You have to detox from that, and it's a long-term process.
Oh my goodness. So I know lately you have been on my speed dial.
We appreciate that.
We've been doing a lot of home showings. And the other day you kind of explained, here are the things we need to think about, the age of the home, humidity within the home.
Right,
I mean,
yep.
you kind of listed all those things off. Can you do that again for
Absolutely.
our
So
viewers?
the most important thing to realize is it's the environment
Yes.
that's allowing the molds to grow, because they're already everywhere.
Okay.
The only time in life that I've ever been able to use the word ubiquitous
Yes.
is
It's mold.
is
Wow.
mold, because
Yeah.
it's everywhere.
Mhm.
So you can't stop it from coming in. But it needs a specific environment.
Okay.
It needs an active water source,
Mhm.
which is something that's really wet,
Right.
or a humidity of 50% or
Okay.
higher.
Wow.
Now that's the tough one,
Yes.
because you and me, we don't feel 50% humidity. It's
Mhm.
comfortable,
Mm-hmm.
so we don't notice it. It needs a food source, and it likes just about everything.
Okay.
And it does best when it's not disturbed.
Mm.
So when we
Okay.
think about that part, what that means is closed doors
Yes.
in basements,
Mhm.
basements that are closed off, cottages that are closed off.
Right. I think you
Where
mentioned
everything stopped.
sump pumps.
Absolutely.
Because
Some
the water
pumps
comes
are
in.
necessary in some basements, not
Right.
all.
Mhm.
But if it is necessary, then it will help to keep the humidities down.
Okay. Okay.
So when you really think about it, if those are the three things it needs, then our goals always should be change those things.
Yeah.
Reduce the humidity. And I don't know if you've ever heard of a hygrometer.
Okay. Yes, actually.
Okay,
I have.
hygrometer tests the relative humidity of the
Okay.
environment that it's sitting in. It takes
Right.
just a minute or so for
Okay.
it to adjust to that. If molds grow above 50%,
Mm-hmm.
my goal is to get them to 45%
Right.
or lower.
Right.
And if we do that, then they can't grow.
Right.
You can't stop them from coming in,
Mhm.
but you want to stop them from growing.
Okay. Okay. Smart. Nice.
You mentioned the age of the house.
Yes.
This is a big one that most people don't really know or recognize. But in 1972, the foundations of homes began to be sealed or tar coated.
Okay.
The exterior of the foundation
Mhm.
was tar coated. Prior to 1972, and I don't even know the month in that year,
Right.
they weren't.
Okay.
And concrete, cinder blocks, mortar, brick are
Right.
all porous.
Okay.
And so the ground is
Just-
usually
yeah.
wet and it seeps right through.
Right.
Now, the problem lies when someone isn't aware of that
Okay.
and they put drywall over that porous wall.
Mm-hmm.
And they say, yeah, grandma's house is always musty,
Mm-hmm.
just the way that it is.
Right.
Well, unfortunately, that is being trapped back there, kind of like a petri dish.
Right. Oh gosh.
And
Yeah.
you can imagine what the growth can be like.
Yes.
And we see it all the time.
Okay.
So it's important that specific steps are taken
Mhm.
so that you can safeguard
Right.
from that.
Right.
And there are so many things that we recommend. It would probably take too long for us to cover that
Right.
right now.
Understood.
But we can help people to understand what needs to be done
Right.
in those situations.
Now, I mean, you're my neighbor in Holland. So you obviously work in Holland. I know you also work in Grand Rapids. Kind of, would you give us an area if people want to call? How far out do you go from this area?
We, in the past 3 years, we have been going further and further.
Yeah.
Most of our business is through word of mouth and
Okay.
referral.
Mhm.
We know a number of inspectors and so many realtors.
Yeah.
And we don't mainly do residential, but we've done more residential than
Okay.
anything, because when realtors hear, they go online and say, who do you recommend? And we get recommended.
Right.
And then we end up doing the attics and the basements and the
Right.
crawl spaces and all of that. But our name is out there.
Yes.
And people travel far and
Yeah.
wide. And
Mhm.
so we've been to Manistee,
Oh my goodness. Okay.
to Sawyer,
Wow.
Eau Claire,
Nice.
Lansing for mold remediation.
Nice.
Okay,
Wow.
that's our
Yeah.
area.
Okay.
As I mentioned, we went to Detroit once to take
Yes.
care of COVID, but
Yeah.
our area is growing and our
Okay.
business is growing.
Excellent. And what do your customers love most about you? I know I have one very happy camper. So
No doubt, and we appreciate that.
yeah.
Our honesty
Okay.
and
Nice.
we tell the whole story,
Yes.
and we don't hold anything back.
Yeah.
I got calls the other day and set up 3 inspections for today.
Mm-hmm.
My foreman takes care of those now. He's certified
Okay.
and everything, just as I am. And I said, we're an open book. Ask
Yeah.
him every question,
Good.
and nothing is off the table.
Okay.
That's the most important thing. I think that's the feedback that we get, that you told us everything we need to know. Now we
Right.
know how to take care of it,
Exactly.
and you helped
Exactly.
us.
Right. And your foreman, I think one of the things that differentiates you that I was so pleased by is you support veterans.
Absolutely.
And you hire veterans.
Absolutely.
That's
Yeah.
fantastic. Why is that a passion of yours?
Well, you've met Ryan, I think.
Yes. Yep.
You see why.
Yes.
It's just,
yes.
it's like straightforward,
Mhm.
upright, honest,
Yes.
and diligent.
We work hard.
Hard workers, for
Yes,
sure, no
yes.
doubt about that.
That's fantastic.
And he has impressed me even more recently when I've gone to inspections with him, thinking that I'm going to take over.
Right.
And I let him go, and I think, yes, he's the right guy.
Nice. That's awesome. That's
It
really
is.
good to hear, and I appreciate that you support veterans.
Absolutely.
One last thing, tell me a little bit about your family and kind of the fun things you like to do in Holland.
I am married 37 years,
Nice.
my beautiful wife. We have 3 children plus 2 that married in, so we have 5
Yep.
children, 1 grandson.
Nice. Congrats.
I don't really understand why, but he loves me the most.
Aw.
And I think it's the coolest thing.
That's
I hope
so
nobody gets offended,
great.
but I
That's so
love that
great.
so much.
That's awesome.
He wants to see Papa.
Aw.
I like to golf. We love the water sports.
Mhm.
We love Holland.
Yeah.
Our children were born here in Holland, and
Oh,
we
fantastic.
moved all over the country for 25 years,
Okay.
and we're back.
Nice. I love it. I love Holland too. Well, thank you, Dan. I appreciate you stopping by today, talking to us. And we'll make sure that folks have your information if they need to get a hold of you for any type of mold or water concern.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I
You're
appreciate your
welcome.
time.
You're welcome. All right. We'll see you next time, next week on this channel. Talk to you soon.